Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boisters coming to you with some Forum Showcase match action out of Newkirk City on the Heart of the Swarm beta. That's right, people, we are back in Heart of the Swarm, and it feels so good. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have TheSkunk as the orange Protoss, and down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we do have Melvid, aka Zappy, from Mechanics of StarCraft, as the blue Protoss. So we are going to have a little bit of a PvP here on Newkirk City, which is a matchup I don't think I've really seen much of yet. I mean, PvP in general in the HOTS beta, and I don't think I've ever seen a Heart of the Swarm or a PvP on Newkirk City. I've seen a lot of like TVZs, which seems like a very linear matchup just because of the fact that the map is so open and it's just so perfect for Zerg players, because I mean the second and third base are like really close to each other, and the fourth base is just too far of a stretch for Terrans to be able to take it amazingly safely, and it's just close enough to the point where you can spread creep on it and you'll be perfectly fine as a Zerg player. So you know, I think the space is a little bit in Zerg's favor, at least for most players. I can see it being a little bit awkward if you're somebody that likes to go for more of the harassment heavy style instead of going for any sort of macro heavy builds. But I think this map at least tends to live on the side of the turtler, this person that just likes to build up their armies a lot and then attack later in the game just because of how defensible this third base is, being right next to your natural, having this really actually kind of nice choke-ish point right here, which can be quite fancy. I mean, this fourth base is pretty easy to hold, but you know, taking out the debris is just annoying. And if somebody manages to like snipe this debris and then drop ship you, you're kind of screwed because there's no real way to come out of that. If we look at the production tab, we have both of our players playing extremely standardly. This is simulator. Simulator timing has actually changed a little bit with the Heart of the Swarm beta, at least as far as I've seen. People tend to get it a little bit earlier than they used to, because you used to be able to drop in a simulator like as your cybernetics core was building, but now when your cybernetics core finishes, if you want to play well, you're going to get a mothership core ASAP, because mothership cores are extremely nice. I don't know why I said well isn't really the most proper word in the world to use there. You're going to want to get the warp gate research, of course, and you're probably going to want a sentry. Some people will opt for the stalker, but sentries are very useful to have in this sort of a matchup, just because if anybody plays with any sort of aggression at all, it's fairly easy to shut down so long as you have that sentry base force to help you fight it off. Interestingly enough, we have neither player really going for any sort of pure giveaway. We have, in fact, both of them literally just doing the exact same build. The Skunk is actually doing it a little bit better. He is getting that cybernetics core research up just a little bit faster, so that warp gate will be coming out sooner. His 3 gates will be coming out sooner, and that actually puts Melvid at quite a bit of a disadvantage, because this is a pretty severe tech lead. I think it's like 30 seconds at this point. Yeah, it's somewhere around 30 seconds. Now, of course, I think Melvid will be able to drop more chrono boosts on it, and in fact he will. So he should be able to catch up reasonably well, but that's chrono boosts that he can't spend on the mothership core and chrono boosts that he can't actually spend on probes, which just ends up being annoying and kind of a nice advantage for the Skunk to have. It looks like the mothership core for the Skunk is now out. And mothership cores, have they boosted the speed a lot on these? Because I remember they used to be like literally one of the slowest units in the game. And they used to like lock on top of Nexuses, and this beta has probably been one of the craziest betas I've ever seen as far as changes go. Like, if you look at the original release models for most units in Heart of the Swarm, completely different. Like, completely different from what they were originally when they were announced at BlizzCon. And Blizzard actually, this is kind of just going to turn into a little bit of a commentary on Blizzard, just because it's interesting, and this is a PvP that basically looks like a perfectly standard PvP, but with a mothership core. So really quickly, I'm just going to talk about how interesting Blizzard is with what they decide to do at their company. Like, if you look back at so many of their things, a lot of their stuff that's in beta never actually makes it live. Like, for example, I'm not sure how many of you remember this, or how many of you have even played the game well enough to know that this was going to happen, but back when Wrath of the Lich King was releasing for World of Warcraft, they had something called like Path of the Titan, or maybe it was Cataclysm. I don't know. It was one of those 2 expansions, and it looks like the most badass system ever. It looked awesome. It was a really cool way of personal player progression, and they just scrapped it, and they replaced it with like archaeology, one of what is arguably the most retarded professions they've ever come up with. Right now, we have a little bit of a standoff happening right here at the center of the map. Melvid is, of course, at a little bit of the lead. But the skunk he's going for a Dark Shrine. Solid. Not I shouldn't say solid because it's actually a really bad plan because Mothership cores of course have Envision, and Envision's a really good ability, and unless you have those stalkers to snipe off the Mothership core, which he actually is working on, he has Blink researching right now. So this is going to be an interesting game. I'm not sure if he's actually going to be able to output enough damage to make this worthwhile. He is going to be able to turn around and get a couple of pot shots on this Stalker, manage to not take any hull damage on his Zealot, just barely though, 0 shields and 100% health. So, you know, just squeaking out of that perfectly clean. But he really doesn't have the Stalker numbers, even with Blink, to snipe out a Mothership core. They actually do have a reasonable amount of health. They have, what, 190, which is more than a Zealot, and I think they actually have more armor than a Zealot. They have 1 armor. Okay, they have the same armor as a Zealot, but they do move slightly slower. Yeah, this is... I don't know what the skunk's plan is here. It's literally, I think it's literally just to snipe the Mothership core, cross his fingers, and hope to God that he actually manages to snipe the Mothership core, because he will actually be pretty good once that Mothership core is down, because we've seen Melvid actually not going for a robotics facility. He's just going to be going for a Stargate, which isn't the worst plan in the world. Stargates are very strong at this point in the beta. I'm not sure if this was played before or after the change to Void Rays. I'm guessing it was played after, because this entire kind of event was... Yeah, this was definitely played after, because this entire event was basically created after that. It looks like the Dark Templar were just revealed, if Melvid was paying enough attention to see that. I'm not quite sure if he was. It looked like his Zealot was not actually being microed, as it wasn't really moving around that much. So I really don't know if he actually saw it, but yeah, this is really interesting from the skunk. I don't know what his true plans to do this are. Charge is coming up from Melvid, so that's going to be very, very neat for these Zealots. But there's 3 Stalkers. 3 Stalkers are not going to be able to snipe off a Mothership core. They're not. They're not. Especially with the Photon Overcharge on a Nexus, it's not going to work. We have a little bit of a scout going down, trying to see if there's observers, and actually a nice little waste on getting that Envision spent out on those DTs, which is fancy, but it's not fancy enough, especially with oracles coming out and starting to fly towards your base, because oracles do quite a bit of damage. I'm not sure if the skunk has learned this, but they kind of wreck face, really. With these Stalkers in the main base, he should be pretty okay as far as defending against it goes, as they do have Blink, and there's a Photon Cannon going down at the back of each mineral line, so these Oracles probably aren't going to do a whole lot of damage, but Melvid is kind of just taking, you know, leaps ahead as far as economy goes and as far as general army strength goes. He's even going for the High Templar Archives, which is a nice thing to go for in this sort of matchup. It gives you quite a bit of power in the late game as far as sniping stuff. We do have a little bit of engagement happening at the front here, but again, it is not an engagement the skunk really wants to make until he can manage to snipe off this Mothership core, which may never happen, because between mass recall and Photon Overcharge, it shouldn't be that hard for Melvid to be able to hold this off, because Envision, the energy can kind of get spent, but it's very hard to actually micro it correctly, so that they have to spend the Overcharge, or the Envision energy, but they can also get out with the Dark Templars. We have the 2 Oracles flying into the main base, and are these things driven by Dark Templars? Hell yeah, they are. I think they're even driven by female Dark Templars. I've never looked at the portrait for the Oracle before. Very interesting. Very interesting. Alright, so these 2 Oracles are going to be basically dying, because he has not actually put up Pulsar Beam yet. Because without Pulsar Beam, Oracles actually cannot do damage. And Pulsar Beam, holy crap, that does a crap ton of damage to Oracles. And wow, this worked way too well. Wow, I missed that. God, there is egg all over my face. Okay, so we did manage to snipe off the Mothership core. Still not quite sure on how he managed to lose, you know, the Mothership core, considering it was one of the easiest things to defend. However, with this new Mothership core coming out, the Nexus is going to go down, but the 3 Dark Templar are a reasonably good point for Melvid to be able to start running across the map and engaging. Was kind of an even trade. The only issue is that Melvid is not actually capitalizing on this. He's not moving out across the map, even though really he realistically could. Realistically, he could. They're both building up quite a bit of bank, which is kind of a surprise considering the fact that Melvid even went for that kind of low-tech Zealot or charge lot force. So he has actually a reason to use all of these minerals, and he just isn't. He's going to be going up to 6 warp gates at this point, which is going to be a reasonably strong bank of production. We look at the Skunk, and he's also going up to 6 of his own, plus the robotics facility. So between the oracles, which will probably be able to come out and do a little bit more damage if he actually remembers to hit C, and the actual 6-gate production, Melvid is still in a pretty good position to win off this game. He's definitely not in the same lead that he had earlier, where it was actually working well, but it's not going bad. And his Nexus is just about to finish. It would appear that the 3rd base for the Skunk is also just about to finish. But if he saw this, alright, C. Quickly, C. There we go. Alright. So he has Pulsar Beams up, and Pulsar Beams do so much damage. They will absolutely rip through these Nexus if it's allowed to go down. I don't know. Those 2 Stalkers are going to scare these Oracles off. One of them might go down, but indeed no, because the pylon was there, kind of blocking the Stalkers from getting that last shot off. This game is just, it's really hard to say who's ahead in it right now, because the Skunk economically is doing okay. If we look at the income, actually Melvid's ahead in workers. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say that they're pretty much freaking tied. Melvid, of course, does not have the 3rd base on the way, which is pretty bad. Actually, now he does have a 3rd base on the way, still pretty bad. And we have this giant army of Dark Templars coming out from the Skunk, and the Skunk really needs to withdraw and pull his Oracles back, because his Oracles are going to be very, very nice. Because, you know, it's between the Revelation and oh wait, actually, Revelation doesn't work on Dark Templars. That's annoying. Huh. That's very annoying. Revelation is really just there for the Tempest siege units, I guess. But with this army from Melvid, I'm really not sure if it's actually going to be anywhere near cost efficient to try to remove. Not great positioning from that Mothership Core is going to cause the death of the Mothership Core, of course. And with the photon cannons only here, it's going to be a little bit awkward to try to defend against this. With this charge level, he should be able to quite easily... Actually, whoa, he has something that can see invisible? Oh, he's a photon cannon. Okay. Alright, so with photon cannons warping in, this actually shouldn't be that rough. It looks like this Immortal is going to be going down to the multiple Zealots of the army of Melvid. And of course, Immortals aren't that great against Zealots, so this entire force is kind of useless. If we look at the upgrades, we have +1 melee upgrades for Melvid, but +1 armor and +2 attacks are both up for the Skunk. So he's in a very, very good position in this game. We have his observers taking a little bit of pot shots there, but not quite enough to take out either one of them. I'm surprised that we haven't seen another mothership core coming out from Melvid, as really he needs to stop using the Mothership Core to attack. He just needs to sit back with it and use it to envision. Literally, like, plants it on one of his Stalkers, and if he ever starts, like, stutter-stepping into the enemy force, like he has, you know, really liked to do recently for whatever reason, he should just keep the Mothership Core way behind enemy lines, because there's no reason to have it up that close. There's no reason, and it's the reason it keeps getting sniped, because, you know, he's putting it in Stalker range of, you know, 7 Stalkers with +2 upgrades, 9 Stalkers now with +2 upgrades. It's really not the best position for a Mothership Core to be in. And with this many Dark Templars, literally, if you can keep that Mothership Core alive, you win. That's it. You win. You win the game. That's how it works. We have those 4 Archons swinging around from the top side. This is a beautiful engagement from Melvid. He is going to be coming up right behind Skunk, and he is going to be killing off most of this entire army. I'm not sure if the Skunk has a real way to avoid out of this and get away, because he doesn't have any of those. Oh my god, that was beautiful. Oh my god, the Skunk. That was fantastic. That was so well played. The only issue is, of course, that there is now observers. However, still, that requires major props. That was that was some awesome maneuvering from the Skunk. He brought his Stalkers up onto the high ground and then moved them right up next to the wall and waited for the Mothership Core to have to be pathed up this road so that he could just blink right down on top of the Mothership Core and take it out almost instantly. That was, again, Melvid he needs to work on keeping his Mothership Core behind his army, because if you're facing an army with Dark Templar and most of the army is Dark Templar, if you can see the Dark Templar, you're going to win the fight. If you can't, you're going to lose it. Because you can take the Stalker Ball without an issue with charge lots. You can take Dark Templars without an issue with charge lots. Charge lots are amazingly cost efficient versus Dark Templar. They can take so much damage and they can deal so much damage with that charge. It looks like we do have the Oracles from Melvid still taking a little bit of damage up the top, and in fact, it looks like they have all been sniped at this point. He gets a little bit of the scout down on that main army. However, it's not quite enough to really give him an advantage at any point because he knows an army is there, and that's basically all he learned. It looks out of Melvid. We do have the +2 upgrades now. Of course, the +3/+3 from the Skunk should be reasonably effective for taking out this army, but I don't know, it's going to be very awkward. With these 2 observers here from Melvid, and oh my god, there's 5 observers for Skunk. Alright, that's a little bit on the strange side to say the least, especially because if he decides to blink Stalkers on top of this army, his Stalkers are just going to die in an absolute massacre, and I'm not even sure if he'll really be able to kill the observers. It looks like he's doing his best to stutter step into those observers, and all of the observers... The last observer does go down, so that is a big bad position for the Melvid to be in. However, really, the Skunk is just losing these engagements so non-cost efficiently. Even with these Dark Templar, he's not able to do enough damage to these Archons and these charge lots to even begin to pay off, making all of this, making all of these units, especially the mass Stalker Balls that he basically just suicides into the opponent force every time he engages. It looks like we do have the 2 Stargates now on the way for the Skunk, so we are going to see the air toss transition, which is not an awful transition to make, but you know, it's still, this game's so awkward. With the 2 photon cannons now up here at the front of the base, it's going to be extremely hard for the Skunk, can't talk, for the Skunk to try to even try to engage on this force. He does have Phoenixes coming out, so he'll be able to pick up those Zealots. Actually, no, he's having Phoenixes come out for observers, which is a perfectly legitimate cause because observers do a lot of damage to his army. Even Mothership Cores, it's very nice to have Phoenixes against because Phoenixes actually do quite a bit of damage. It looks like the Skunk is kind of juking back and forth, juking and jiving, getting ready to maybe go in for a snipe, but Melvid is just going to be going right for the throat. He does not have any detection with his army, so it might basically just be a throwaway because of all the Dark Templars in the force of the Skunk. But if he manages to snipe off this 4th base, it'll be kind of worth it. I mean, you can sacrifice a lot of lives just to snipe off a base and have it come out reasonably okay with you, especially when your army is building such a, not so super immune, but like crap composition. It looks like the Skunk is actually going to do a lot of damage here. Although the Nexus does go down, which is very important for Mel, but I'm not sure if it was worth losing literally his entire army. In fact, I'm pretty stoically on the side that it was not at all worth losing his entire freaking army. However, he will escape with a reasonably sized platoon of charge lots, hopefully. I'm actually not sure. And oh my god, that is quite a few High Templar. We might see quite a few Archons coming out, and we probably will, considering the fact that Psionic Storm has not yet been researched. However, I don't know, I would like to see that Psystorm just because it's so good against Dark Templars, because you don't need vision to Psystorm stuff, you just need to kill to Psystorm stuff. It looks like the Skunk is forced back into a defensive position after seeing these photon cannons at the front of the base, which is a reasonable decision for him to fall back, because he really shouldn't try to engage into very hard to snipe detection, especially considering the fact that there are 5 Archons morphing. That's a lot of Archons. This is going to be quite a scary force for Melvid. He does do quite a nice job, and oh my god, there's so many Dark Templar. Literally, if he just combined these into Archons, he would win. Instantly, he would win. Because this is like 13 Archons. You don't beat 13 3/3 Archons. You don't. You just don't. Especially if you manage to start upgrading shields. He should really just morph these into Archons. I understand that at this point he might just be doing it for like silly fun haha stuff, but really, morph your 24, morph your 20, you're 19, alright fine, 19, I count right. Morph your 19 Dark Templar into units. Seriously, that's such a big ball of Dark Templar. And we are going to see them start to do a little bit of damage here, but it's not going to be cost efficient because they cannot kill, they cannot manage to kill any amount of Zealots faster than the Dark Templar can kill, or faster than these Zealots can kill the Dark Templar. It's really not at all cost efficient. Now, of course, he's bringing in the question marks and a lot of Zealots, so he's going to be swinging around here from the side. Yeah, it's a lot of DP, and he is going to be sending a little bit of a snipe patrol into the photon cannon. He's going to take out that photon cannon. And with these Phoenixes, he might actually be able to stop all of these Dark Templars from dying. But it's still not going to be cost efficient because he needs to very slowly creep through the base. And when I say very slowly, I mean very slowly, because otherwise he's going to end up with a position like this where he has 5, 6 DTs in a very, very crappy position, and his opponent can kind of just drop like 4 photon cannons here, and he'll be able to kill off most of the DTs before any bad situation comes out. It looks like we have a lot of Zealots moving up into this force. There are still quite a few DTs here, so he's going to try to bait them back into the net, into the third base of Melvid, but it's not going to quite do the amount of baiting as he wanted it to be. Instead, he's just going to be locking them off up there as the destructible rocks do come down. I don't think he can actually traverse over any of that, so that's a little bit on the annoying side. It does give him a reasonable amount of delay time. A lot of Zealots have come up here just to snipe off the building fourth base for Melvid, which is not an awful decision, but the Skunk is still reasonably far behind as far as both bank goes, as far as army goes, as far as tech goes. He's not doing well. We have 2 gateways on the way for Skunk, another 2 gateways on the way, but I don't know. This isn't the best decision in the world, because even though he can do a lot of damage just by sniping off those DTs, or sniping off those observers and then killing everything with his DTs, he shouldn't be making 10 DTs. Like, he should never be making 10 DTs. That's a horrible plan. I don't know why Skunk is still doing this, because it is, yet again, I think I've said this already, it's a horrible plan. Because eventually your opponent's just going to go like 3 Robo Observer. Because why not? You can build 21 observers, win the fight, and then your opponent's 5 observers don't matter, and all of his Phoenixes don't matter because you have Archons and Zealots. And what's he going to do? Pick up like 4 Zealots and then DPS them down with the rest of the Phoenixes? No, he's not going to do anything because you can produce 11 of them at a time. I'm not quite sure where that Warpin' and Zealots went. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the Warpin' of Zealots is just going to be going in for a little quick snipe sneak attack on this 4th base. It's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage if it would only move up into the actual base itself, instead of having most of the army just stand back here. And can I just mention that Zealot death animations are pretty freaking awesome now. It looks like we have a little bit of engagement at the front up here. All of the observers did, of course, again get sniped by Melvid. He should probably really just invest in a lot of those observers, because it's really his only way to detect. There's no actual ground detection forces for the Protoss army, I do not believe, because they don't have anything like the Ghost or the Infestor, which, you know, you snipe with and then you get detection on something for a little bit of time. But yeah, this game is still so hard to call because Skunk is actually starting to turn it around a little bit. He's starting to do better engagements. Melvid is still trapped on those 3 bases, which is not exactly where he wants to be trapped. He could build a 4th base up here very, very easily, defend it quite easily, because even if DT drops happen, again, what are they gonna do? They're gonna kill that base off, and then they're gonna kind of stop there. Then be stopped there, and if your army can get there in time, you'll probably be able to snipe all of them because they're going to have to load up in a warp prism and fly away. Now, of course, the Skunk, with his slightly superior economy, if not slightly superior bank, is going to have a reasonably sized army compared to that of Melvid. But if you really think about it, most of that is not actual fighting force. Most of that is Phoenixes, and a lot of that is DTs. And DTs, although they are very, very good, can still be easily killed by a little something that that some people like to call Storm. No, Melvid really should have invested a little bit into Storm, because Storm on DTs actually does take them out quite efficiently. It's what, 50 damage over 4 seconds. So with 3 Storms, you can take out a DT pretty confidently. Maybe 4, but if you just blanket his army in Storms, you're going to kill all the DTs, even if they try to engage, and he will never be able to force an engagement with you again, because really that's the only thing that Skunk has going for him right now, is the fact that he can fly in, snipe off all the observers, and then be perfectly fine as the engagement starts to roll out in his favor. It looks like he's going to be moving forward here. There are 2 photon cannons here, which is a little bit awkward, because those, of course, are basically designed to only be sniped by these kind of Zealots, and with such a heavy Zealot ball from Melvid, he's not engaging well here. He probably does not want to try to fight against the massive amount of DTs. A nice turnaround there, getting them right within detection range and then starting to deal damage to them. And he is going to pick off a couple of DTs, but I'm not quite sure if that was really worth it at all, because he did lose basically an Archon. And that was really all he needed to lose to make that fight not worth it. And seriously, it's the Skunk. Archons, and then Steamroll. Steamroll, just A move and you win. Please, just build Archons. They're fancy, I know. They're really fancy, but you don't need them. You don't need them. And I need to go get a glass of water. So just build Archons and then attack. It would be very, very easy. This game has basically gone on like 15 minutes too long. Because, you know, 15 minutes ago, pretty sure that was the point where Skunk had like 26 Dark Templar. And again, what are you going to do against 13 Archons? Probably not a whole lot, because those things will absolutely tear through your Zealot force like madmen. It looks like we had a lot of Phoenixes here, and this is actually a pretty nice engagement. All of the photon cannons do go down, which is definitely a little bit on the annoying side for Melvid. And if there was the Observer getting sniped, because who's surprised? I really wish Melvid had targeted a little bit more on taking out the Phoenixes in this game, because this is a lot of Phoenixes, and really all he needs to do is snipe like 4 of them, and he's perfectly fine. However, with such good production coming out from just this pure Zealot ball production, Melvid can still defend this quite easily. That is what defending with cannons is like. Huh. He's like blowing my mind right now. I just realized that defending with cannons is like cannon launching yourself. They're basically the exact same thing. Alright, it looks like he's going to be sniping the Nexus that counts for nothing except for 2 gas geysers, which are, they're reasonably full, but they're almost empty. So, not the most important snipe coming down there from Skunk. Of course, the base up here would have been a much better place to actually get the kill on. However, still not bad. It looks like there was a little bit of harassment force that, actually no harassment force came up here, it just got mined out. So a little bit of self-harassment going on, killing off all of the mineral patches in his main base. And I still don't know why he hasn't gone for Dark or High Templar. Literally just High Templar would be fine. Because even though the Archons are absolutely fantastic, High Templar with Storm, they're better to have. They're a lot fancier. It looks like we do have 10, 13 High Templar coming in, but most of those are probably going to go right into Archons. And in fact, there we go, all but one. And I'm sure as soon as another High Templar can get warped in, it's going to turn into an Archon. And, you know, Melvid still has a fairly strong, engaging force, but without the ability to actually snipe off Dark Templar, and without the ability to actually snipe off Observers, and without the ability to outproduce Observers, or produce enough Observers where they won't die like, you know, little tiny fish people to the Phoenixes, there's not a whole lot he can do. It looks like there was a defensive rock collapse here from Melvid. Very nice decision. The defensive rock collapse, and then the 3 gateways at the front are going to be able to delay an attack on this 4th base by quite a lot and give him quite a bit of time to actually fight back. However, he needs to make just a perfect engagement. He needs to really kill off those Phoenixes, because without killing off those Phoenixes, there's no way this engagement's going to happen. And it looks like we have a little bit of engagement happening here. The Skunk portals off onto the top of his block cliff, and this isn't going to go well, because as the Phoenixes fly in, they're just, as ASAP, they're going to take out that mothership core, and then there's just going to be a whole crap ton of ETs here. Now, of course, quite a few Phoenixes do quite a lot of damage, because there are Archons, and Archons do a lot of damage in an AoE format, and they're pretty much just scary all-around units. But, again, this army, they've just been trading so oddly, to say the least, just so awkwardly. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. DTs are really good units in PvP, apparently. That's all I'm learning from part of the Swarm beta practice. Is that everybody loves DTs because you can just build Phoenixes and then your opponent like tries to detect them and you're like, oh, guess who has DTs? Oh, they're legitimate army units now. And they're really shouldn't be. Again, I would have just gone through Robo a long time ago and just produced more Observers than he can. But it looks like Melvid is going to be calling it GG on game 1. This is of course a best of 3 series. And jeez, 40-minute match 1. Oh my god. Whew. This is probably going to be the only series uploaded for today, because my voice is already hurting. And Melvid is asking the question. The perfect question. Just go Storm! Because that's the only way to kill these DTs, especially if he's going for such a crazy force like this. Because the Phoenixes are going to kill off all of your Observers and all your Mothership Force, because all detection is essentially airborne. You really need the DTs to storm them down, because otherwise it's not going to work out well. You really need that storm. Really bad. And I'm still amazed he didn't get that storm, because if you can cost efficiently get storms off, you're perfect. So anyway, that's the end of my get storms if you're ever getting DT rushed by more than 20 DTs, because they're way more cost effective against it than Archons and Observers rant. If you'd like your games commentated, you can send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. And also, if you would like to watch any other Boisterous action, you can head on over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2. I would like to thank any of you that actually took the time to get to the end of this video. I'd like, because this is one of my longer videos in quite a bit. And you know, it's nice. It's nice. We can have a little bit of quality time here at the end, right before I sign out. You know, maybe tell me about your feelings. Oh, right, you can't talk to me because this is a YouTube video. Yeah. All right. Well, that was some nice quality time. So anyway, this is Boisterous signing out.